It's time for some urgent shameless self-promotion. There are only 4 days left to get your Mumbo Jumbo merchandise before these designs are gone forever. And forever's a pretty long time. Shameless self-promotion all completed. Now it is time to fiddle about with some bits from the latest snapshot. Now I know I'm a little bit late to the party on this one. I always tend to be late to the party on these snapshot videos. In fact, the snapshot's been out for a week. There's a chance that there's going to be a new one in the next couple of days. But I really wanted to play out with the new cauldron mechanics and also play around with these new dripstone bits and pieces. This is completely unrelated, but I saw this thing on the horizon and I had to get a closer look. This is the strangest bit of world generation I've seen in a little while. I need to stop getting distracted. Anyone who's been keeping up with the latest Minecraft snapshots will be very familiar with this new change. So first off, with the dripstone actually creates drips, and lava can drip from the dripstone, which is pretty cool. But also, big change, cauldrons can now take lava. So you can now fill a cauldron with lava, and you can do that automatically, making use of these drips. So if I set my random tick speed to something ridiculous like 10,000, you will see that that should happen relatively quickly. I mean, all the drips are falling in. I think there's a certain percentage chance that it will actually fill up, and there it is. So we now have a cauldron of lava, which we can then move out the way and replace with an empty cauldron. And then we have automated cauldron filling with lava. It's the first renewable lava source we've ever had in Minecraft. So obviously my first thought is there has to be some way to make this a little bit automated or a little bit fancier. In fact, I think we're going to do both in this video. But you can probably tell which one I'm starting off with. I'm a fancy guy, alright? I start off with fancy things. So here's the idea. Out the back, we're going to have a bunch of cauldrons like this in a piston feed tape formation so they can easily be pushed around. And they're going to have the dripstone dripping lava into them. So gradually, these things are going to be filling up with lava, and we're going to have almost like a bulk lava storage system. It's not massive, but it's big enough for the average player. I mean, how many times have you needed 4, 7, 14 buckets of lava all at once? I mean, it's not really that often that you need that. Then out the front, in the slightly prettier area, we're just going to have this one singular cauldron that is filled up with lava. Now, when we remove the lava from that cauldron, the system will detect that, it will retract our empty cauldron, and it will present us with a brand new, fully filled in cauldron with lava. So essentially we can go to this place and we can grab as many lava buckets as we reasonably need from a fairly nice looking area. Very fancy indeed. And already things are looking pretty promising. My random tick speed is set to 3, that is usual, and already 2 of my cauldrons are filled. And now I think I've got my double piston extender circuit all sorted out. That pulse extender is almost too good, and it starts a redstone clock, which isn't ideal. But after a little bit of head scratching and a tiny bit of old school looking redstone, I think we've come up with something that works. So if I remove the lava here, you can see our cauldron moves into the wall. We've got enough time for our piston feed tape to fire, and then it gets pushed back out. So that is kind of stage number 1 completed. Stage 2 is of course our piston feed tape, which needs to be timed to perfection to allow everything to fire correctly without things completely messing up. And how do we find that perfect timing? Well, of course, we test it a bunch of times and have it completely mess up a bunch. Oh my goodness. Alright, it worked first time. That's never happened before. I should be really happy, but it kind of totally ruined my joke. I really wanted everything to totally go wrong, but it didn't. It all went perfectly right. That's quite frustrating. I don't think I've ever been frustrated about a redstone contraption working before, but yeah, here we are. I think this thing's all completed, and I must admit, as far as redstone contraptions go, this is a fairly pretty one. So if I rock up to the front of this thing with an empty bucket, everything gets moved, everything gets pushed out, and everything looks to be in order out the back. So I can grab another one, and I can grab another one, and I can grab another one, and I never thought I would see the day where I could actually do this with lava. This is incredibly satisfying. I have a beaming smile on my face already. Now, I do have another idea for another lava farm that I think we'll look at later on in the video, because it's not quite as fancy as this one, but it will be a lot more industrial and a lot bigger, and it should yield a lot more lava buckets. But first, lightning rods. Obviously, we all saw these things announced during Minecon Live, and I was pretty excited for them. They just seemed like a really useful addition to the game in terms of not getting your house burnt down. But one thing that I wasn't expecting is the lightning rod seems to be in the redstone section, so I'm assuming this means it will give a redstone output when it actually gets struck by lightning. I don't know what this could be used for in the slightest at this point in time, but we're going to try and find a use. So let's see, are my predictions correct? We've got ourselves a thunderstorm, and there it is. Okay, so it got struck by lightning, and for the duration of the lightning, it looked like there was actually a redstone output. So that's something. It's definitely something. What on earth can we do with that? What can we do with that? Well, I think I have an idea. I think I have some way in which we can find a use for this. And that is to have a creeper farm that only activates when there is a thunderstorm. And that creeper farm is then going to be converted into a charged creeper farm. And then we can funnel those charged creepers down to another mob farm area, blow up those charged creepers, and then get their heads. Now, there are a lot of steps and stages inside that process, so there is a high chance that I'm going to completely mess this up. But I like the idea. Now, I just quickly want to make sure of something. I'm fairly certain, yes, I can ignite creepers making use of flint and steels. I thought that was the case. And that's going to be fairly key to the way that this design actually functions. So, stage 1 has been completed. We've got this lightning rod right here that is going to detect the lightning, and that is going to activate a creeper farm for 5 minutes. Now, because I didn't really fancy building up a creeper farm, instead I have this dispenser hooked up to a redstone clock, which is going to be putting creepers into our water stream, and those creepers are going to be falling into this chamber here. Now, when this lightning rod gets struck by lightning, obviously all of the creepers in that chamber should be turned into charged creepers, and then they're going to drop through this trapdoor and move on into the next stage of the system. This is definitely some very, very wonky and just all over the place redstone, but I think it should all end up functioning. So this is the charged creeper holding zones. The charged creepers will drop through here. They'll end up on this trapdoor. They'll then fall through that trapdoor, land there where I flint and steel them, which means they're going to ignite. So they immediately then drop through that trapdoor down to the bottom and kill a bunch of mobs. What could possibly go wrong? I've made a lot of backups. But despite this, I'm still fairly nervous because, you know, willfully igniting creepers always seems a little bit dangerous to me. But anyway, we just got a strike of lightning. We have creepers flowing in because the creeper farm has now been activated. And at some point in the very near future, we should get another lightning strike, which will cause those to actually be turned into charged creepers, which we have just got. We now have mobs down at the bottom here. I mean, it blew up the whole farm. But the big question is, we got a creeper head! Yes! It worked! It worked! It just exploded everything! Oh my goodness! Oh, it's chaos up here! It's absolute chaos up here! I don't know what to say. Well, I think all I can say is that was a massive success. You know, it may not have looked like a success, it might not have felt like a success, but it was a success. We managed to get ourselves a creeper head from that charged creeper blowing up another creeper that was in this catchment area. And that is exactly what we wanted to do. So this concept right here could be used to automate the process of gathering up mob heads through charged creeper explosions. And I would say that's pretty cool. Far cooler than channeling tridents. I think we can all agree. Right, next up on the to-do list is to make use of these dripstone blocks and build some fairly ridiculous traps. These are pretty wild. How high can they go? I'm starting to think there's not a limit to how high they can go. Oh, this is going to be satisfying. This is going to be satisfying. Ah, I love that sort of thing. I absolutely love that sort of thing. Now, apparently, these little fellas, they quadruple the amount of fall damage you take. So that means normally it would take, I think, 22 blocks of falling to kill me. Whereas now it should only be 6. Which that really compacts falling death traps. Let's give it a quick test for science. Oh, they are powerful. So I'm thinking in terms of the redstone, we actually shouldn't have to do anything too complicated here. So we've got a piece of redstone dust that currently isn't powering that block. But then I'm going to break these 2 levers right here. It is now powering that block. But this trapdoor hasn't recognized it. And if we're walking along Scar's floor here, this is very much in the style of Good Times with Scar. We walk over this string. Oh, we're going straight through there. You don't really have much time to react on that one. Now, the only thing that could pose a bit of an issue is the fact that items can actually land on top of these spikes, and they are quite high. So we can't actually pick up those items making use of a hopper minecart. So that means we wouldn't be able to actually collect the player's items when they die. And before my comments get absolutely flooded, you can't place dripstone on top of hoppers, because obviously that would solve the problem, but it's not able to be done. So instead, I think something like this could be the way to go. So if I have a hopper minecart underneath a trapdoor that is then underneath this dripstone, yes, there we go. That's perfect. Let's give this thing a quick reset then. Break, into survival mode and falling to my death. with all my items being picked up and collected and stored in a chest. And of course, if I had more hopper minecarts here, this whole process would happen a lot quicker. Now onto some falling dripstone action. And I gotta say, I'm incredibly curious about these because I want to know if there's any way that we can accelerate the falling dripstone to make it more damaging to the player, making use of slime blocks and dripstone slime block launchers. So I guess this first test can be our control. Alright, that hasn't given me very much hope. So let's get a new control. This one should actually work. Wow, they are actually quite powerful. That might have been about 6 or 7 hearts. Let's see if we can make it a little bit more punchy. So the idea is this slime block gets retracted, the dripstone begins to fall, but then this double piston extender with the slime block on the end then extends downwards, hopefully shooting this thing faster. I can't tell if that worked or not. I really can't tell if that worked. I don't think it did, but I think I've got a new potential option. There it is. Whoa. I mean, is that going to do more damage? I really don't know. Put it this way, if it doesn't, I'm going to be sorely, sorely disappointed. Are we ready? What? Come on, that was moving at like ridiculous, wasn't it? I've lost the ability to speak. That was moving at ridiculous velocity. All right, it feels like that should have just blown a hole in my skull, gone through my body, and just blasted out my toes. But instead, it just tickled my neck a little bit. I mean, sure, it might be a tiny bit overpowered if Mojang did introduce that. Okay, I understand that, but still, come on, dripstone guns. Come on. Now I think I'm going to stop myself from getting too carried away with the dripstone trap simply because skulk sensors are going to be included in this Minecraft update, and they are like the most trap friendly items in all of Minecraft. So I can't wait to make a bunch of dripstone traps making use of those. For now though, we're going to go back to the lava farms because I quickly want to make sure that something works as I think it does. So currently I have an inventory completely filled in with buckets, and if I right click on this cauldron with lava inside, yes, I throw out the bucket. Okay, that means a good thing. That means that I can create an AFK-able system where we have an inventory filled with buckets and we have cauldrons that go past us, and I just hold down the right click button with buckets, and then when we get lava, I will fire that lava bucket out into a hopper, and then it will be stored away in a system. So I could AFK overnight and then just get chests and chests and chests filled with lava buckets just by holding down the right click button. And I can do that by putting a weight on my keyboard or something. This is post video me. I'm currently in the middle of editing this. I've just gone onto YouTube and I've seen a ton of videos about lava farms. There seems to be a lot of them, so I'm definitely not the first to the party on this one. A lot of the designs are quite similar because of the way the game mechanics work, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. I'll put some links down in the description if you want to check them out. Now obviously, because we're going for a slightly more industrial farm here, it's not going to look quite as fancy as the one that we started off the video with. That looked lovely. Okay, I would love to have that thing in my base. I would not love to have this thing in my base. Already it's ugly and we don't even have the redstone in, but still, it's going to produce a lot of lava. And in my personal opinion, there's beauty in efficiency. So stage 1 of this build is to get this gigantic piston feed tape all up and running, which that all seems to be working well. Now, as I say, if I just grab myself a whole bunch of buckets and fill up my inventory, as I was building this, obviously some of the cauldrons have filled up with lava, so if I hold down the right click button, every single time one of the cauldrons has lava in it, I'm just going to fire out that lava bucket and it can be picked up by some hoppers. This is very, very interesting. So the second part is the relatively easy bit, which is just automatic bucket replenishment. So I will gradually be picking up buckets as I'm using this thing. And then we have these hoppers, which are going to catch the filled lava buckets, and they're going to drop those filled lava buckets into these chests. So I guess I can just stand in position and give this thing a tester. Now in survival mode, holding down the right click button, and I mean, it looks like this is working. This is ridiculously simple. It didn't really take that long to construct. And also, it seems to be pretty efficient. I mean, if you just leave this thing running, if you just left this running overnight, you would come home, or you would come to the computer and have way more lava buckets than you could ever know what to do with. I mean, we're talking powering of furnaces here. You could create like an entire super smelter. I mean, obviously things slow down once you've actually gone through all of the lava buckets that have built up while you haven't been harvesting, but still, you can see I literally just stopped and we already have 3 lava buckets that have just refilled while it's been cycling around. And if we take a look in here, that's not bad. I mean, that's more lava than I've ever needed personally. But coming back to that super smelter note, one lava bucket smelts 100 items. So although I haven't used lava in the past for super smelters, because of course, you know, it's a bit of a pain in the backside to get, now that we can renewably get it, and I just have to stand in one place and I can spend one night AFKing and just get chest upon chest of it, that definitely seems like probably the best option for furnace fuel. This is definitely interesting. I'm a fan. I like it. I like this as well. I definitely like this slightly smaller, slightly fancier version. I think it's just extremely satisfying to use. I like this, even though it didn't work. I like this because that's just hilarious. I like all of it. This snapshot definitely seems interesting. I look forward to playing with this a little bit more over the next couple days. But anyway, I really do hope that you enjoyed this little experimental redstone video, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya. And I guess I should probably round off this video with a little bit more shameless self-promotion. You only have around about 4 days left, I think, to get the Mumbo Jumbo merchandise. Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's 4 days. You don't have long. And then those designs are disappearing forever. You will never be able to get a Chuff to Bits t-shirt or hoodie ever again. Okay, so the link will be down in the description if you want to check it out. Feel free to not do that if you don't want to check it out.